Good morning. This is Marco Lopez with MindTune, and I'm here with George Rivera. And I am so excited to learn about you today, George. And so I'm with MindTune, and I get to have conversations with clients a lot, learning about their story. And so this is going to be a little bit of an example of what a mind tuning session looks like as well, where we go deep, where we learn about a client's journey and what they're doing, and we're able to draw out more out of them, and also kind of map out a path for how to get there. So how does that sound to you?
Marco, excited to be here. Excited to go on this journey with you.
Okay, awesome. Well, George, you've had a very interesting career. You've seen a lot of success in your life, especially from an external standpoint, what most people call success, which would be on the financial side. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so 31 years in direct response. I started my business back in 1995. I was still in high school at the time. I started in direct mail. I started, then followed that in the classified ads in newspapers. Again, this is mid-90s. And then online in 1998 and been there ever since. And primarily started in the supplement space. And then I veered off into other places. And then I'd say over the last 13, 14 years, kind of a hard pivot back into the supplement space. And that's where most of my success has come from.
Okay, awesome. And then that whole experience has given you a clearer sense of what's most important for you in life. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, my big wake up call was in 2015. So basically, that's the year my dad he'd had a long career as a medical doctor, very successful, and he thought he had many more years to go. And the saying, "God laughs at man's plans," the destiny was a little different for my dad. So in the beginning of 2015, he was diagnosed with a terminal form of cancer, given only a few months to live. He ended up making it about 10 months, but a couple of weeks before he passed away, he told me, "Don't miss Leo's games. I missed too many of yours." And Leo's my, at the time, about 11-month-old son. And I was already missing a lot of big moments in his life. I was missing when he first started to walk and starting to communicate, like a lot of the firsts. And my wife would be texting me, "Here's him walking or attempting to walk, and you're missing it." And so when my father told me, "Don't miss Leo's games," it hit me really, really hard that I was already off to a rough start to my son's life. And in addition to that, it was a flashback to my high school days where I played basketball. And out of about 40 games, he only went to one game. And I remember I'd score a basket, I'd look to the stands, hoping my dad might be there and, play the sad music in the movies. No dad there. And then my teammates would score and their dads were jumping like crazy. Like, "That's my boy," so proud of their son. And I remember looking at another dad loving on his kid. And I thought, I wish that was my dad. And so fast forward 20 years, that's when my dad makes that statement. And it was a beautiful sense of closure for whatever that was as a child. I didn't know how to process that. But then a big eye opener and wow, I'm repeating this all over again. So that's when I knew that something had to change.
Wow. So that was something you felt very deeply.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you felt it deeply kind of as a sense of purpose, right? So you're growing in your career. You get to this point where you're pretty comfortable financially, and then it gives you that clarity and that space to think, what do I want to do now, right? What do I want to do now? So now what are you thinking? What do you want to do now?
Yeah, absolutely. So when my dad made that statement to me, it was lovingly instilled in me that I can't keep going like this. I can't keep passing this down to another generation. But my first thought was, but I have to start tomorrow because I'm working 16 hours today. And tomorrow turns into 2 tomorrows, 2 months to years. It took about 3 years for me to finally get to the burnout point of scaling this business, making more money than ever. And had you told me years prior that this is what your future is, I would have said, I've made it. Just count me done, or at least reaching the pinnacle. And that was the furthest from the truth as far as how I felt. I was hating life. Everything depended on me. I felt like I was the linchpin for the whole thing, blowing up essentially. And so I was ready to either sell it or just burn the thing down. And I got some advice from a dear friend who at the time was my mentor, and he just essentially gave me the advice to restructure things. And I achieved in a couple of years the transformation that I was seeking. So at first, I just had to accomplish this for myself. I didn't really know that this would one day be a message that I'd be sharing with the world. And then after accomplishing the pinnacle of the success, I more than doubled my business by slashing my workload in a multiple of numbers. I'm trying to do the quick math in my head, but there were some weeks where I didn't work at all, living a semi-retired lifestyle. But the most impressive of all that, more than the money or even the low work hours, was the fact that I was able to honor my father's near last words to me, and I never missed any of my son's games. I was able to mentor him into teaching him how to do real estate at 8 years old. I was able to teach him how to launch his own podcast at age 11. And that's just evidence of a present father. So it hit me that I have all these talent, skills, connections, the blueprints to launching a multi-million-dollar supplement company. I can always turn that on. But I had this sort of like, the phrase burn the boats comes to mind, where you're like, you know what? Yeah, that's there, but that does not give me purpose. I've never had anybody, after selling millions of bottles of pills, nobody's ever said, your bottle of pills changed my life. Sure, they might get less joint pain. Sure, they might think a little clearer. And that's what it's designed to do. It's not a miracle in a bottle. But since I've publicly come out with the information that I'm sharing with the world, I've had a number of people text me like, my goodness, I didn't realize how my kids would light up like a Christmas tree at my presence. They're just going through life on autopilot. And I speak for myself. Like, I'm not waking up thinking I want to, sabotage my family today. My thoughts were like, I've built this business. I'm the only one that can run it. Yes, I want to spend time with my family, but at least I'm providing, and
Let's give the audience a little bit of a feel for how big you were able to grow your business. What size were you able to?
Yeah, in 2018, my business scaled to $20 million. And that was when I reached the point of burnout. I was like, I want to burn the thing down. Anyway, that didn't happen. But at the pinnacle of the transformation, more than doubled the business of just shy of $50 million. But living a semi-retired lifestyle, never working more than 30 hours a week, and being fully present for my wife and my son.
But even though you reached that thing that felt like a pinnacle, something inside of you is saying you're not done yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's more that you got to do.
There's more to it. Like,
so what is? Tell us now about what you want to do. Like, what is your goal? It sounds like you're already you've started mentoring some people.
Yeah.
in the father area, right?
Absolutely.
What is your goal there, and what are you working for?
So right now I want to help people go through the same transformation that I went through, and that I found myself 10 years ago. And my customer avatar for marketing speak is cash rich, time poor. Imagine like you got two buckets, and one of them is the money bucket. It's full, it's overflowing, you're doing well. We could all say we could do better, but in reality, it's like you're doing pretty well. Then the life/family bucket there's a bunch of holes in it. It's leaking. It's not containing anything in it, because you're giving all of your focus, time, attention, and dedication over to the business. Could be intentional, could be unintentional. Honestly, it doesn't matter. The consequence is that you've got your family over here missing you as a result of that. And I feel like I went through this transformation. There's a number of men just like me who are finding themselves in that in that point in life. Like, for example, the average woman thinks for 2 years before actually saying, I want a divorce. So it's not an overnight thing. This is a brewing problem. Oftentimes your family, and I speak from experience, they're planning a life without you, even if they're not like at the door about to leave. When dad says he's going to the game, it might as well be tentative, because the second like an emergency pops up, he's out of here. So we got to have our plan B, as if dad's not going to be there. And so once you make the commitment to say that ends here, it's not like you flip a switch and everything's like super awesome. You have to restore the bond with your family through just, making these micro commitments and sticking to them, and actually like showing them that this time it's for real. Yeah. So at first they might have some doubts. Is this going to be like the games you always say? So honestly, like, your word doesn't mean much at the beginning, but through time and just sticking with it, that's when they'll see the whole transformation.
But I think that a dad, before he gets to that point where he's really going to make a change, he's kind of got to hit a rock bottom, some type of a negative experience or some wake-up call that causes him to think and really desire a deeper change. It causes him to think, yeah, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to make a change. And that's what I see in my coaching, is that people are ready for a deeper change like this when after they've hit something hard that's been that wake-up call for them to tell them, let them know that they can't or where that light bulb turns on, I can't do this anymore, right? So a comment that I want to make is I was talking to Armando, your friend, yesterday, and he was telling me, and I didn't even know you at the time. He just mentioned your name. He said, George Rivera, if you know him, don't let him fool you. That guy is a beast. Like that guy is so good in business. And so I know that you're really, really good in business, which is why I think that you're going to be an exceptional coach and mentor for these men, because they respect people who know how to make money. They'll respect that. But coming from your perspective, you can share with them, yes, I do know that, but I also know that this other side is more important. Do this, and we're going to give you tools to do this. We're going to give you systems and processes that will help you buy back your time. But if you want to be happy at the end of your life, you better focus on this other side that you're missing. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah, 100%. So I want to walk through men and women too. They'll self-select. My story resonates with men. And the goal is to help them buy back 10 to 20 hours a week at the beginning. Over time, you'll see what more. So once you actually start buying back time, you're going to get addicted to it, and you're going to want to do it to just about everything you can. I've done it before, and a number of the people that I'm helping, that's the journey that they're on. But at the same time, we're reconnecting you back to your family, and there's frameworks for that. It's not like, hey, we're going to buy back time here, and then you're on your own to figure out where you spend that time. There's got to be intentionality and systems and frameworks and accountability to reconnect in a proper way. And so I teach something was called the season pass, but it never expires. And it's basically prioritizing your calendar, creating white space for personal thinking, because like first you got to work on yourself, in the airplanes when they say when you're putting on a mask, the intuition I think for people is like, hey, put it on your kid first because it's all about the kid. But then you're like, no, put it on yourself first, because if you pass out, your kid's automatically going to pass out, right? So it's one of those things, like us as leaders, we got to take care of ourselves first, not in a selfish way, but give ourselves enough time to recharge, to connect with God, to do, to work out, to feel good, to build a confidence. And then we're able to be fully present for our family. And we have our business completely streamlined. We're working in our zone of genius where we've delegated things that we shouldn't be doing. Yeah. And we just continue to optimize that.
So I've got a question for you, George. If you were to imagine yourself on your deathbed, or, when you know that you're getting close to that, what would you like to know that you've done in your life?
Yeah, so I think everybody at that point, including myself, I think there'll be things that were like, I wish I could have done this and this and this different. But the one thing that I'll be proud of is that when it was revealed to me that I don't want to be missing these important moments that are important to my son, to my family, I did something about it, and I did my best. And so, we're all going to have little regrets. I could have done this or that different. But you know what? When I realized that it was an important thing, I gave it my all. And that's what I can hang my hat on. And I can be proud of how I live my life.
But then beyond that, right? Because you've got, how many kids do you have?
4 total.
4 kids. Okay, 4 kids. So you want to know that you've been a good dad and really helped your kids. But it sounds like you're also seeing that you can help beyond that, right? Think of also all the fathers that you could impact. Fathers, mothers, families, right? What do you want to...
absolutely.
What do you want to know you've done there?
Yeah, exactly. So beyond just that initial, father-child connection, the fact that this can be a legacy thing, can be a generational thing. Oftentimes we're repeating things from our parents, and it takes somebody to say, stop, it ends here. And a lot of people, like I said earlier, just continue life on autopilot, not ever realizing that they can do something about it. So my goal is to not just influence the family, but the ripple effects of that. And I can't even fathom to imagine how deep that can go, but it just excites me that it's not just that initial family, although just that alone would be good enough, but the generational impact that can have.
How many families would you like to impact? How many people?
That's a great question. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if this is shooting too low, but thousands of families. I mean, ultimately millions. Like, I'd love to have a book and it's sold millions of copies, and think that every 2 million of those copies are going to implement it. So, not all of them are going to read it, but I don't know, tens of thousands ultimately. And how that's going to happen, I don't know. I got to leave that up to God. I just got to take the first step that I see in front of me, and then just take it one step at a time. But the Lord knows my intentions. I'm asking for wisdom. And if it is His will that this impacts thousands of families, then I'm going to leave it up to Him to make that happen.
I love that. And that's something that I've seen, is that what you do, it takes our power of choice as human beings. We have the ability to choose whatever we want. When you have a seed, like an acorn, it can grow into a giant oak tree because the seed is programmed to grow into a giant oak tree. But a human being chooses what kind of tree he wants to grow into, right? Yeah. We get to choose what our future is. We get to choose what we want to do and how big we want to grow, what kind of impact we want to make. And so you choosing that, by you just making a decision and saying, I'm going to impact thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of families. I want to do that. You send that message to God. That's the way I think too. You send that message to God as a desire of your heart. And I know that God helps you do that. That's what I've seen in my life as well. And so you make that desire, you propose that, and you know that you're not alone. You quiet your mind. And as you move along, like you said, the path opens up. So you don't have to know how when you start. You just present what you want to do, and then you keep moving forward. And as you do that, incredible things start coming in. Things, and you're used as an instrument in the hands of God. You're used as an instrument for everybody's language, to make it more general language. You're used as an instrument for a purpose much bigger than yourself. Mm-hmm. There's I think it was Alred, or what's his name? Anyway, he said, I'm grateful for the purpose that has used me. Mm-hmm. And so you find that when you get into this purpose work, it starts off as something that was just an idea to you, but you make that decision based on something much bigger. You decide that you're going to do it, and then other people get involved, more people get involved, and pretty soon it's something that's way bigger than you. Absolutely. And it's just something that you were involved in, but that purpose used you because you had the belief that you could make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've already seen evidence of that in the companies that I've started, how it's impacted not just the direct people that work for me, but their families as a result. And so, to see this play out on a larger scale, kind of coming out publicly with an offering and all that is super exciting. And submit the request to the Lord and let Him handle the outcome. It's His job to do it anyway. And I just have to be obedient to what is that next step, and just show me the next step. I don't need all 10 steps. That's for you to figure out. Just give me the next one.
Right. So the mind comes first. The idea comes first. Believing big, creating that vision, and then seeing yourself already doing that is that first step. And I believe in a scripture that says, you see no miracle until after the trial of your faith, or faith precedes the miracle, right? So you got to believe it first, and then it happens. And that's what most people are so logically minded, that they're waiting until they see the evidence out there before they will move forward and do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So. And if I'm going to believe that God created the universe in 6 days, rested on the seventh, I think He can handle my request of helping me influence some families that I know that it's His desire to help them as well. So use me as a tool to advance that. And I think it's a win-win.
BA is one, your clients will be another. As you start working with people, they give you ideas and they feed you too, right? They mention things, they talk about things. And as you talk to more people, you gain that deeper insight as to a deeper purpose. I think that as you move forward, you're going to meet fathers who are in such a predicament, or such a place of need, that is going to really fuel your purpose. You'll be like, wow, like this person was in that place. And then as you have more conversations with more people, you're going to realize more and more just how deep of a need this is. And that's going to really fuel you.
Yeah.
So there are 4 connections that I want to end with, or that I want to suggest to you, or put on the table, that can help people like you in your situation, where you've got this huge dream, this big thing that you want to do. You don't know how you're going to do it, but that is the big dream is the what. But the how is the question that everybody has. Everybody wonders, well, how can I hit it if I don't know how I'm going to do it? And so there's a model that I use. It's called SONG. There are 4 connections that quiet mental noise. And it's a connection to yourself or self, others, now, and a greater purpose. Mm-hmm. And so self is what you've already been doing, George. It's where you decide, you choose to act on an impression that you had where you say, okay, I'm going to choose to move forward. I'm going to go after that goal. I don't know how, but I'm going to do it. That's a choice, right? So self is the only one, yourself is the only one who can make that choice that I'm going to step out and do this thing. And then others is the other person. It's like what we were talking about, your clients. It's as you listen to people and as you start doing interviews or talking to people on the phone and you start asking them, what do you really want for your kids? Or what do you want your relationship to look like with your kids? As you start hearing that feedback, that others becoming really human to you and sharing with you who they are and what they really want, that's going to fuel you. So that moves you forward. And then the next thing is the now, where you've got to set aside the logical mind and just have that calm and clear mind. And that allows you to be present. And that actually is a huge tool for your fathers, because it's going to be, you want them to be present. It's one thing to be physically with your kids, but it's a whole nother thing to be present with them.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, that's amazing. I love learning the acronym and the meaning. And
I'll give you the 4th one and then we can chat about that a little bit. But so the now is when you really become alive to the things around you, and it's human beings. I'm in the now, so I can be with you. I can feel you. I can feel your needs. But then there's something much greater that people don't even expect. But when you learn how to be still and calm, it's like you have a still lake in your mind, a calm lake, and that opens up greater purpose. Mm-hmm. It's the G in that acronym. But that G also represents goodness, God, whatever your denomination is, whatever your faith is, it's that power bigger than yourself. So it opens that up. And as that opens up, then that's when you get the ideas. You get the ideas, or you get the confirmations, or just that witness that you're being helped by a power greater than yourself.
Mm-hmm. Man, no, that's amazing, and I love how just nice and tight that is. It's easy to remember, it's very impactful. So yeah.
And then the beautiful thing, just to wrap it up, right, is you get to that God piece, and I know that God's really important to you in your life, but as you get to that, you recognize a higher power in this. Then that helps you do a new cycle where you see more in yourself, you see more in others, you see more in the now, in the present moment, the trees, the rocks, the rain, everything. You just become alive, right? Yeah. And then that opens up more wisdom and intelligence to go on another cycle. So I could tell you right now, George, this is going to be an amazing journey for you. You've got everything that it takes, and we are excited to follow along with you on this journey.
Man. Awesome, Marco. Thank you. Yeah, those words mean a lot. I'm excited.
You're awesome.